Welcome, everybody, to Astrology Unplugged. I am Rick DiClemente, your host. And if you're joining us for the first time, we're kind of like an online astrology magazine. We talk about different things. So it's not a straight line course. And about once a month or once every 2 months, we have different guests who talk about other weird type things. Anyhow, tonight we're going to get into a lot of different things. We are recording. So the recording will be put up on YouTube after the show under my name, Rick DiClemente. My website is starself.com. Like myself, yourself, star self is the name of my company. We were chuckling tonight, my partner and I, Eliza, because we've heard so much about through the years of somebody being cosmopolitan or metropolitan. So we have made our new word up tonight. It's called technopolitan. Technopolitan. Or what's the word for being online? Anyhow, the point is when you're sitting around with somebody, it's like 9 people in the room. You're talking to them, and these things are beeping, and that thing's beeping, and this thing's beeping, and that thing's beeping, and the phone's going like, it's like crazy. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly like that much of the day. It's kind of crazy. Now, last week, I was trying to stress to you how important things are now. And the reason why is mainly because Pluto is squaring to Eris, which is in Aries. I want to show you something. Eris in Aries. So if we go to astrology, I made a change on you. I want you to understand what's happening. If we go into, there's John, if we go into regular solar fire, my software, you'll see that there are, let me get this pasted for you. There are 2 symbols for this new planet Aries. Okay. And you have to choose when you run this software. Here's 3 symbols for Pluto. There are 2 symbols for Eris. And I've been using this one. I really don't like it anymore because it's hard to draw and it's similar to Pisces. So I've gone to this one now. So if you start seeing that, that's my new Eris symbol. It makes sense because it's Mars hanging straight down, and Eris is the sister of Mars. So the brother is Mars is always facing upright at an angle, and Eris is hanging straight down. So they're a little more related. So you'll start to see that. But anyhow, the reason I went to that discussion, this is where the planets are now. And you can see there's a new moon right now in the last 2 hours. But there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planets in Aquarius. Aquarius is all about being yourself. And I was talking a lot to Liza this week, and I think she didn't even realize it. This is something I've noticed from many years of astrology. Aquarian people are really taken for granted. They just are. They're usually really nice people. They're usually, some of them are flaky, but they're usually very, very friendly, probably the best friends in the zodiac, the most loyal people in the zodiac. And I think they're so dang normal in terms of being a guy or being a gal. You don't sense much trouble with them. They're very independent. They're not dependent on other people. I think it's really, really easy to take them for granted. And I think a lot more needs to be said on the plus side with Aquarians. I really do. Very strong sign. If I come back, everybody I know is coming back as a Sag. If I come back, I'm coming back as Aquarius. No more Marcia, no more Capricorn. Enough of that stuff. Okay, anyhow, so you see with this Mars at 18 bombarding a square to about 4 of these planets in Aquarius, and Uranus at 7 bombarding these Aquarian points. And the main thing is Eris is squaring to Pluto, right there. Eris square to Pluto is moving, is not even moving. That's what's giving us the feeling of go, got to go. I told you last week in the show 209, you want to go, go. Hey, I've been thinking about go. Hey, what I was talking about, go. And then I had you raise your hand. And a lot of you raised your hand indicating that you've been kind of toying with some idea you want to bust through somewhere. You want to go forward somewhere. And a lot of you are got your toes vibrating on the gas pedal. And a lot of you raised your hand. And Peggy, you and I will talk more about your thing, which you sent to me. How many people did something this week? Okay, Linda, turn your mic on. Let us know, please.
Okay, this is going to be really little, but it's the beginning of something bigger.
If it's little, I don't want to hear it.
I got a brand new phone because my phone has not been working right, and I changed carriers.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I'm doing towards paring down expenses and just doing a number of other things that make life simpler, less stressful, because I need to make time for other things, and I can't be hassling with stuff all the time.
Okay, but what I usually hear with people like that is they're doing that because they're prepping for something.
That's right.
What is that? What is that next launch about?
I want to start my next book.
All right. There we go. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to move to Marcia now. Thank you, dear. Marcia, bud, you're muted. I'm asking you unmuted, Sid.
There I am. There I am. What was the question again, Bud?
The question is, what kind of launching did you do in the past week?
Oh, well, I'm working on this class that I'm studying, and it's getting more, it's deeper. So I feel myself getting more connected to it. I'm studying homeopathic.
Okay, that's what subject is that?
Homeopathic medicine.
Okay, now I was talking to Anita about you today about that. And Anita was saying, well, Marcia's into this really intense thing now. And I said, see, the planets aren't over there and homeopathy over there. They're the same thing. The intense application. But what you didn't do is what I told you last week not to do. You didn't hold back. And what's the problem with it? And it might take too long and it might cost too much. And I don't know what, you know, you just got into it. And you got a really strong Jupiter rising. You got Jupiter rising with Aries in your chart. Jupiter in Aries next to Eris in Aries. So it's natural for you to go. It's real different than Capricorn's nature, but you can't let Capricorn's nature win all the time unless you want to become statue. Very good, bud. Very good. Someday I'll tell you all why we call each other bud, but not now. Okay, who else? Come on, Peggy. What do you got dreaming of? What do you? I'm asking you to unmute.
Well,
I saw there's 5 planets in Leo in your chart.
Yeah. Well, one thing is I'm getting very intensely into health. I've been having different issues, so that's going to become more. But the big thing is I'm getting, all of a sudden I'm getting booked to go on stage with music with a duet, and we're heading up. We're in front of another band, and they have quite a following. They're country, but we're doing country and rock, and that is a duet. And we have to get our picture taken, and we have to go through all this rigmarole, and we have to get out there and do it. And so all of a sudden it's finally happening, and I'm looking forward to doing it. And everything's working out. My voice is getting better. I've been doing a lot of vocalizing, and I'm, practicing every day, and I just, I enjoy doing it.
Someday we'll go on here and we'll turn the recorder off and we'll just sing songs to each other.
Okay.
Now, what I want to say to you is this.
Yeah.
Number one, I want to talk with you privately more about your health, but health is when you start to channel your energy, your health will get better.
Yes.
mean, not if
yeah.
you get certain illnesses here and there. I'm not a doctor, but health just gets better when you're one with your energy. It's going through you. Very good stories. So we got 3 winners so far. We pass out 3 stickers. Come on, Claudia. What have you been doing?
I did a couple of things. The first one is going to seem very small, but it isn't. When I got my certification, I had been studying with this program for my life coaching uh, dream. COVID hit, and so I'm very much a people person. Everything went digital, and long story short, I've been giving out my business card like it's going out of style, and I know that seems very small, but it isn't, because even that in itself was kind of scary to me. And I just said, screw it. I mean, what do I have to lose? I do it all the time for free. But then the other big thing, which is bigger, in a way, um, all of a sudden, the CEOs, all the VPs in my company, I'm helping them really structure the vision, kind of fleshing out the vision for the corporate culture on a higher level, which I've been wanting to do this for years. And this week it's like I just started talking to it. Like
This week you're ready.
Mhm. And I just all that Aquarian energy is really helping. It really is.
Well, that's helping also, but the main thing is, I mean, it's really, really simple in astrology. You can sit there on the side of the wall, on the side of the creek or stream, and watch people going down in the rapids, going wee, and you can dry up on the side of the road, on the side of the bank, or you can get in the boat. You got 2 choices, and if you get in the boat, it's crazy, and you don't know where it's going to go or how. But there really is no choice. And that's what it's all about. It's even more so now. Well, good for you, and just keep doing it, because the more you do it, the easier it will become. John, I'm on coming your way, man. I'm on my way to John. Go ahead. You got
Okay. I have been writing poetry since I was in high school. Now I'm retired and I have a muse. I don't know what a muse is,
a
but
muse is it,
okay, I wake,
where it comes from.
that's right. I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I'm really, really happy and a poem just shoots out of me.
That's it.
When I write it and then I look at it and I said, boy, who wrote that? It looks like
It isn't you.
I didn't write it. It's
Yeah.
my muse.
That's why Neil Young says, when my muse calls, I leave wherever I am and I run to my nearest guitar and I play it. And he knows, and Dylan knows the same thing. He said, how'd you write that song? I said, I didn't write that song.
it wrote
I've just written 5 songs.
well,
I
here's
don't
the
know where in the hell they came from.
Well-
They come from somewhere.
my project is I'm going to start publishing. And you can't make money on poetry, and that's not why I'm doing it. It's just for the pleasure of it. So
Yeah, but you never know.
now.
You never know, because you're not writing it. And that poem might be powerful enough to knock people over.
That's right. I'm getting really good comments about my poetry. I've sent some of it, and some of it's been put in some papers and things. But that's the thing I'm excited about now.
Well, that's wonderful. And the whole thing I'm trying to sensitize everybody to is this power that's coming through us. And this power that's coming through is not like anything we've had before. It's not like anything we've had before. This Pluto combined with Eris is just a powerhouse.
I'll certify that.
We're just tiptoeing around it. And well, I won't get into that, but I've already done 5 shows on it. Thank you about that, John. Any other Johns or anybody else want to talk about what they're doing with their? I know Leslie's showing off at the beach there with the wind blowing on her palm trees and stuff. Anybody else got an issue report? Here comes Erica. I'm trying to get your mute off. It won't come off.
Unmute.
There you are.
Oh. Well, I've been really more in the Mercury retrograde where I am kind of getting all my ducks in a row. I have maybe 30 years of notes and things from astrology and books and magazines, and I'm just, I just want to crystallize it so that I can feel more confident of what I'm looking at. I'm trying to look at big cycles in life,
That's very good.
as a story of life. And
Very good. You
and I've been
Tauruses
and
are
I've been
good.
taking care of my husband because he had his second shot and then he got a fever. So I didn't have all the time I wanted to, but he's okay now. But now he's done with getting his, because he's a
Well,
frontline health
that's good. You're
worker.
getting organized because that's what Taurus are good at. I'm getting my first shot tomorrow, so
Ooh.
hopefully. Thank you, Erica. John, did you have something?
No, I was just waving. Eric
Okay,
did that.
John's just waiting. All right, well, let's get on. Okay, everybody, the people who did not raise your hands, I'm sure things are still stirring in you. Now, I have a whole lot we want to get to Susan. Yes, dear. You are muted.
Okay, I just have a question. It feels like my whole life is on hold because of the broken leg. So how are these energies going to come through for me?
Well, that's a very simple question to me. Was it what part of the leg?
By the ankle.
I told you clearly what it is, and you're going to have to find it. I can work with you, but the lower leg is because you did something right before the accident that stopped yourself, such as, I want to go do this. No, I better not. I want to go do this. Oh, no, people will be mad if I do that. You started to go, which is the leg. The leg means movement. If it was something major, it would have been the upper leg, Sagittarius, the upper leg and the hip. If it were something spiritual, it would be the foot. That's Pisces. It was the ankle. That's Uranus. When the ankle's involved, or the calf muscle, and see, it's not easy for you to notice these things because you have a very powerful Neptune. But I'm telling you, you're going to have to go back through those days before, the day of, those couple days, and examine your life because the universe just all come by and say, hey, let's get that gal's ankle over there. It doesn't work that way. And I don't know how it works, but when the ankle's involved, it has to do with self-repression of keeping you from being yourself. That's the key phrase here. What am I doing that's holding myself back from being the real Susan that I am?
Well, everything I had in motion since October came to a screeching halt because of this. So actually, it's kind of a reverse.
Okay, now listen to me. Everybody, I want to do a show probably 2 weeks from now on this subject. Did you hear how she said that? Everything around me came to a screeching halt. So that book there that was going by, it just stopped. And that opportunity going by saw her and it just stopped. And the gas tank was filling up and it just stopped. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. It's all inner. You stopped. And I'm not picking on you because we all got the same thing. This is what my new book's about. You stopped. Then everything around you stopped. You choked off the source coming to you. Now, whatever reason, fear, nervousness, uncomfortable, whatever. But I told you it's harder for you and me to discern these things because you and I are both real Neptunian, so we don't see details clearly. But that's what happened. Go back to, and this is worth taking the time. Go back to the time when everything was going and all of a quote suddenly it stopped. Well, my dear, this is true. There is no it. There's no it. I'm up here, I'm charged of Susan's progress. Let's slow her down there. But that's how we think. But it's not true. What happened is you stopped the flow. Now, there's no judgment here. You stopped the flow for some reason. It was going too fast. It was running up against dogma that you were brought up with. It was running up against some past life patterns that you were uncomfortable with. Something happened and you put the brakes on. And that's why, quote unquote, all the progress on the house stopped. It didn't stop on its own. And even when you're building a house and these subcontractors all call, like they say, I can't be there, I can't be there, I can't be there. That's not their decision. That all comes about from your inner self deciding, I don't want to build anymore. It's all controlled here, all of it. Now you keep giving me this blank look, and you've been doing it for about 3 weeks, and I believe you. I believe that you don't have a finger on it, but I'm going to urge you to give it more focus and thought. And what I'm saying to you is this. During the past so and so months, I was starting to become more and more of my true self, but I put a hold on it. And that's what stopped it. That's what slowed it down, because it's just waiting. Okay, there's only you. There's only a small you and a big you. That's all there is. And I don't go any more into that, but I'm going to do a whole evening on just this subject. In other words, when people come to me and talk about my job, my wife, my education, how's my degree going, how's the boss treating me and all that, and they look outside everything. They look outside to all this stuff, and none of it's out there. That's why when you see these sickening people, around you, that everything's just easy and everything in their mind's just going easy peasy and everything falls in their lap and the money and all that, and they really piss you off. That's why they're in conjunction with the soul or the source energy working through them. Susan, I'm being real serious with you.
I know you are. I wish I could see it.
Well, I cannot help you with that. You're going to have to I gave you the key phrase. Without a doubt, the key phrase is, I was becoming more of myself. I was changing and I was returning to being more of myself. But I stopped it for a family member. I stopped it for this reason or that. And the key to this is they happen at the same time. Oh, my stomach's upset. My stomach's upset. My stomach ain't upset. I've told my stomach I didn't want to do something, so my stomach felt the best way it could deal with it was to get upset.
Okay.
Let me give you the really good example. Emotion. I'm going to give you an example. This is really, really accurate. I got a friend of mine, and he saw something on TV one day, and I was with him, and it really bothered him. I'm not going to get into what it was. And it really upset him. And I want you to understand that emotion is the key to the physical body. And when he saw this, he screamed at the TV, I don't want to see this anymore. And the next day he woke up, but his his retina was detached. One is directly related to the other. The body is neutral. The body doesn't care. The body's just trying to take the commands from the brain. And the brain just said, I don't want to see it anymore. So the eyeball says, well, the best I can do is stop working and you won't see it. That's exactly how it works. Exactly. So you need to investigate. I'm going to move on now. We're taking too much time. But that is your answer, and it's not simple. It's a different way of looking at causality, says Erica. You're exactly right. Now, the current planets, I'm going to show you. But I tell you what I'm telling you now is the secret. It's the secret. Okay. With the planets right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you're going to the hospital to have a baby tonight, good luck with this child. This child is going to be extremely hard-headed, absolute brilliance, but absolutely hard-headed, willful, with Mars square to these planets and Uranus square to these planets. Some people, they're just too much. This is all within 110 degrees. This is all within one trine, 11 planets. In other words, in astrology, you don't want planets all bunched up. You just don't. But this is part of nature also. But these people are not going to have an easy time. This person will be a genius, be really smart and really friendly and very, very hard to figure out. I got a woman I've been reading for years with 7 planets here, and I have absolutely no way to get through to her. I've tried everything. She says, yeah. I say, no, I just can't wrestle with the chart. It's just too much. When you have 1, this is like 1 times 2 times 4 times 8 times 16 times 32 when you talk about the parameters here, the permutations. It's just so impossible to translate. Plus, these aren't static. That changes, this changes, these keep moving, that changes, that changes. So the planets right now are very fiery, and this is why you're getting this sense everywhere of revolution. We are in the midst of revolution number 2. There's absolutely no doubt. And we're all talking about it in different ways. And we see what a joke this Congress is, and what an absolute joke these people are that supported this crazy man for all these years. And we're in the midst of that, and this is why. So I don't have the time, everybody. You can chat with each other if you like, but I don't have the time. Now, for you YouTubers who are not used to joining us, you can join any Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern by going to Google, type in Astrology Unplugged, and you will get the link. These are later put up on YouTube. They're on my channel on YouTube, Rick DiClemente, Astrology Unplugged, anywhere from number 1 to, I think tonight's 209, 210. Okay, Now, Susan, if you want to work with me privately, I'd be glad to, because some of these things are not easy. Some of them are just not. Now, a couple of things I noticed here. Back through 2005, which is when I met Liza, we saw the Pluto return coming in the USA's chart. That's 2023. 2 more years. Pluto's going to go around and come back to where it started. What's already in effect now because it's so close. We are in the midst of the Pluto return. As a matter of fact, you should all go to YouTube and watch the latest discussion by Richard Tarnas, a 2-hour discussion on all the planets. And he explains it all. He didn't mention Eris. The Pluto return is massive. Now, what's interesting, and if you're in my shoes or Liza's shoes, we're talking about 16 years ago. We've been watching this come. And there were many years when there was no signal, there was no symptom. And then we started to see it. 08, 09, 010, started to see it. What do you see? What do you see possibly? You possibly see the crumbling of the United States empire. Unless the United States empire is strong enough and positive enough and using its power correctly, then we would see kind of a growing, a new leg, a new shoot come out. But we're now starting to see, in other words, we're seeing with our own eyes how a country can collapse. We came close to it. These people were really close to a whole lot of bloodshed in that building. And it's not just that, as I said before, the Capitol uprising was a warning. It was not a warning from out there. It was a warning from inside here. And when you ask yourself, why did these people do what they're doing? Well, a lot of people are fed up. Why are they fed up? Because they feel like they're not being represented, right? True. What's that mean? That means revolution, right? Well, there's different kinds of revolution. So the whole thing is this. And we've got years, and we've been warned so many times. And I've written so many articles in the past 15 years. We've been warned on what the right course is. And I have to tell you dramatically here what the right course is. I get on a preacher's soapbox. The right direction to go is you take care of each other. You don't fight for all the money to be in your backyard. No one else gets any. You take care of each other, you share it. That's not a far out principle. It's not a left wing principle. It's just like basic human stuff. So I just wanted you to know we've been watching for a long time and we're starting to see it happen. And it's freakier to us than it is to you because we've seen it and we knew it was coming. And everybody keeps asking me what's going to happen. And I just keep saying to everybody, what's going to happen is how well we decide. I don't know what else to say. How well we decide to grow up, do unto others, Erica B. Golden Rule. She's precisely right. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about the elements tonight because I wanted to mention to anybody here, let me just put this up, on my Astrology Unplugged. Okay, you can see the names there. I have announced on Facebook, on YouTube, if you would like your chart done for free, I will make you on my list. I've got 7 people now listed here, three through 9. Those are the people that came to me first. They're listed 3 through 9. You can see their number out to the right. Those are the people that would be put on the show first when I have time. If you would like to get put onto the show in the waiting list, I don't know when it'll happen, but I need your birth time and all your birth information sent to me at rick@starself.com with your birth info. I will take your number. I'll give you a number and we'll get to you. We'll get to you. I just don't know when. The one thing I did want to mention that's just unbelievable is watch this, and then we'll get on with the elements. Look at Tom Brady's chart. I told you I'd get into it tonight about why Tom Brady's so unbelievable. Okay, my friends, when you do unbelievable things, let's see if this thing catches up. You don't have it yet, do you? There it is. Do you see it now? Do you see Tom Brady's chart now? Okay.
Yes.
When you see unbelievable things like a guy with 7 rings on his hand, or the swimmer, Michael Phelps, with 23 gold medals, you're going to find an outrageous chart. I don't care what they do with their muscles or their discipline, it's got to be in the chart with outrageous planets behind. The energy has to be there. And Tom Brady is a 6th round draft pick. They made 150 choices in the NFL draft before he was picked in the 6th round from Michigan. 149 players were chosen before him 20 years ago. So the point is, he only played 1 year at Michigan State. He had the promise, and his promise is largely because he's a Leo, and he's got a moon in Aries, which makes him really, really fiery. And he's got a very strong T-square to Mercury in Virgo, which indicates that he probably has proper technique. He probably is a good decision maker. So these are the potentials that are there. You see the grand trine between Eris and Neptune and Saturn. These mean that he's able to deal with big pressures and withstand the pressure and keep us cool. He's got Jupiter, Venus in kind of a lighthearted conjunction over here in Gemini. He's got Mars in Gemini. And what he throws to like 20 different receivers in one game. And if he thinks you're going to run the ball, he'll pass the ball. If he thinks you're going to pass the ball, he runs the ball. So he keeps mixing it up. He's hard to figure out. He understands the trickery, smart. Okay, but those things don't win you 7 Super Bowls. Uranus rising in Scorpio, opposite Chiron, don't win you 7 Super Bowls. What does it is right there. And I didn't know this till 2 weeks ago. Eris on the ascendant opposite Pluto. Eris on 14, the descendant is almost 18, and it's opposite Pluto. And I told you 2 planets along the ascendant are really, really powerful. And this means I don't care what I gotta do, I am not going to lose. That's what it means. I don't care what I got to do. You guys get in the huddle, well, get your butt out of here if you think differently. We are not going to lose. And when you get in that huddle with that guy, everybody picks it up. He's been doing this for years with average running backs, average blocking a line, etc., etc. But once I found the heiress, the fake, yeah, I know he's cheated some. I know. But astrologically, the heiress is so powerful. Put it on the ascendant and put it opposite Pluto. This guy has the ability to reach down deep. He's down by 25 in 1 Super Bowl and came back and won. He's just got this winning ability. And it comes from he has more in his reserve tank than most of us. And I just wanted to show you how Eris can really come through with that kind of awesome subterranean power. Now we're going to go to the other discussion for tonight. All right. Let's see here. We're going to share a screen on my teaching zodiac. I've been using this for a long time. Okay. We're talking tonight about the 4 elements. The 4 elements of fire, earth, air, and water. Okay. This is delineated for you clearly in most beginning books. It's delineated clearly in the book that we wrote, The Exquisite Zodiac. With all this upcoming stirring stuff going on with revolution and challenges to the country, etc., I thought it would be really good to help you understand, per your element, what's the best thing you can do and not do. So in Susan's case, she's a fire, she's a Sag. I'll be talking about the 3 different fire signs. What's the best thing they can do, the best approach that they can use to help the collective during this time of COVID and all this time of uncertainty? And what are the things she shouldn't do? And I'll be doing that with the 3 fire signs, with the 3 earth signs, with the 3 air signs, and with the 3 water signs. So when we look at this zodiac, the second letter in each group is your element. There's modes, then there's elements. These are the 3 modes we're not going to talk about. These are the 4 elements. The 4 elements, fire means zestiness or life, a lot of spirit. Earth means you're down to earth or practical. Air means you're mental or you're communicative, smart. Water is probably our most important because it's emotion. Now, you see that each sign is a different combination, and that's why the zodiac has 12 signs. This is why the zodiac does not have 13 signs and never will. It's 12 because it's 4 times 3. That's why. This is our basic element. Now, the second letter stands for fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, etc. Now I'm going to get one of my graphic things out here and use this and use this. Okay. So when we talk about fire, we're talking about the Aries, We're talking about the Leos. We're talking about the Sagittarius. There's your 3 fire signs. Okay, that's those 3. In general, the fire signs are best serving us by being zippy and let's go and confidence and don't get down and keep your chin up and smack you on the back and let's go. That's the best thing you fire signs can do for us. Help us from getting depressed. Help us from stopping. Help us keep our zest moving, our energy moving. Aries, fire people, Aries, Leo, Sagittarians, they're all real good at that. So if you know any fire signs, that's what their best thing to do to get through this time. This also includes how best they can get through this difficult time for themselves. So they just get zest and they got fire they can draw upon. The rest of us reach inside, there's no fire there, or different amounts from our chart. They got fire, it pours out of them. And when you're with these people, you can feel the fire coming out of them. Now, what they shouldn't do is go around burning people. Oh, get moving, would you? Why are you so stable? Get moving, get moving. And they burn people. Sometimes you're around fire people and they're just too fiery for you and they hurt you because they're too fiery. So they should really watch themselves that they're not condescending and being too overbearing. And one of the things in common with the 3 fire signs is they can all be arrogant and they can all be know-it-alls. Aries can be know-it-all, Leo sure can, and so can Sag. Sag tries to get away with everything. Okay? But then they laugh it off and smile it off. Okay, well, they're usually kind of jokesters. But anyway, so you can see where fire has its place. It has its place. But when somebody's real depressed, sometimes you don't want to hit them with fire. Sometimes you want to hit them with some water. Sit down with them and understand them. You got to kind of use your balance, like being a head coach who has to know, does this player need a pat on the butt or does he need a kick in the butt? So with your fiery people, you're very blessed with that ability to be down, get back up. And people don't talk about this. Arroyo does. Fire also means you've got real strong connections up here. Because to be fiery, where are you getting the fire from? Who was it talking about? John, talking about the muse. The muse is pure fire. The muse is pure inspiration. How many times you've been told, don't write a poem, don't write a song if you're thinking about it. Write it if you feel it from your spirit. Write it if you feel that you got the spirit to do it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So fire has a lot to do with intuition. Again, we keep coming back to the same theme in all of astrology and all the healing arts. It all has to do with blockage. All of it. Everything we've ever talked on this show is about blockage, getting the blocks out of the way. Okay, the next signs in the zodiac. The next signs are the earth signs, Earth, Virgo, Earth, Capricorn. Now we're going to annotate and get that and go to the earth signs, which are the Tauruses, the Virgos, Capricorns. You notice they're all triangles. Earth sign people generally don't get along with fire. Earth gets along with water, and air gets along with fire. Fire and air and fire, earth and water, water and earth. Every other sign is more harmonious than signs next door are not. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't marry one or date one. You have to see the whole chart. But in natural abilities, that's what we're talking about. Earth signs are very practical. You give a big job to a Taurus, you give a big job to a Capricorn, you give a big job to the Virgo, and guess what? The job gets done. The job just gets done. Tauruses are known for tremendous push and stubbornness. I'm reading the lifetime of Dorothy Kilgallen. My God, I had no idea she was as powerful as she was. I thought she was just a little old lady on to tell the truth, or I've got a secret. Oh man, she was a knockdown dog, drag out reporter. She didn't know what no meant. Venus and Mars and Taurus. And she was a double Cancer. Venus and Mars and Taurus. Capricorn's tough. Virgo's real tough. So earth signs are the one sign that is more prone to suppressing their emotions because the job's more important. Fire signs aren't going to listen to that. What do you mean suppress my emotions? I'm on fire here. Go talk to somebody else. Capricorns are earthy. We put the job first. This is why Capricorns are really known, and I mean all of them. All of them have a strong sense of duty and responsibility. The Tauruses have a strong sense of getting anchored. The Virgos have a strong sense of getting it fixed. Get this fixed and be productive. Get this fixed and be productive as Virgo. Capricorn, make sure it gets done. I'm responsible, make sure it gets done. It might take us a while. The Virgo might do it in 4 steps. Capricorn might need 27, but it gets done. Right, Marcia? It gets done. And I told you in the book, if you can hire a Virgo to do anything, hire a Virgo. They're just damn good. They're just really good at what they do. Unless they're too picky, and then take them to the exit door. So earth signs are really, really good when you need help with counting the ballots, if you need help with forming the voting line, if you need help with the truck taking the stuff over here, if you need help with putting up the polls to stop the voting, whatever you got to do on the physical level that has to be accomplished, the earth signs will get it done because they just got a sense that they got a mission to do. Now, what you don't want to do, and earth signs got to really watch themselves, because too much earth, you'll start putting out the fire people around you. Nothing piss off an Aries or a Leo or a Sag more than you putting out their fire. You just don't do it. Don't do it. Still, as you know, it's too hard to start one. So you don't want your earthbound tendencies to become a wet blanket. It's like taking a child. No, you can't go anywhere till you do these 600 chores. Well, maybe the child needs 5, but not 600. You don't want to ruin the spirit, fire and earth. So earth is very, very useful, practical now, because we got so much stuff that needs done. We got so many pillars that have been knocked down that we need to rebuild them. And we can't rebuild them with our intelligence. That takes the air people. The air people have the mind. How's this new pillar going to look? How's this new institution going to look? How's this new electoral college going to look? You give us the order, earth signs get the work done. That's just how it is. We're hard workers. I'll bet you, Marcia, I don't know much about you in recent years, but I bet you worked for years on Broadway. I bet people will look backstage. I'm going to turn you on here a second. Unmute you. I bet you when they look backstage and saw you, they said, don't worry, Marcia's got it. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Why?
And you wouldn't believe how many Capricorns I work with backstage in the theater.
Because you got to get it done, right?
A lot of them. Mhm.
And another thing I like about Capricorn is probably the most abused sign there is. Let's fight, Marcia. Okay. They're taken for granted. They're taken for granted. Poor Virgos really get worse than anybody. I'm going to leave the hospital now with six more patients, but Peggy's here, so I'm not worried. Peggy will stay and take care of them. Good night. And that's a Virgo trait. So you see, it's all good and bad. It's all good and bad. You see how we all need to work together. Nixon was a Capricorn, and that's why he said, let's make one thing perfectly sure. Yeah, but Nixon's problem was his moon in Leo, so we won't go there. So it wasn't an earth problem. So you see with the fire, there's good fire, there's bad fire. With earth, there's good earth, there's bad earth. So we talked about ideas, and that leads to the next sign. When you get to the sign of Gemini. So the air sign A, Gemini, air sign Libra, and even though the word aqua is here, Aquarius is an air sign. And the aqua is misleading, and so is this symbol that looks like water. This is about the water bearer. They're a water bearer because that means they give back to the earth. They give back that water spilling out of the vase. But they're an air sign. They're the primary air sign, the penultimate air sign, because they're so cerebral. But they're not a water sign. That just means water bearer. So when we look at them, we look at the Aquarians, the Geminis, and the Libras. So these people are very important, as are all, because these are our thinkers. Now, in the zodiac, there's really four kind of thinkers. You got these three, and you also got Virgo, because Virgo's ruled by Mercury. So you got really four, I'll give a little tiny circle there. You got four types of thinkers because the mind works in many different ways. The Gemini's kind of thinker is, I'm going to go gather data and tell everybody about it. I'm going to go here to gossip, here over here, and let them know. I'm going to find out new techniques. Would you hear about this? Did you hear about that? Hear about this? Dorothy Carol Gallen had 2 or 3 planets in Gemini. So that's why she was a gossip queen. Okay, Libras are really, really good because Libras are about what's the word on the street. Libras are savvy. They play the social game unlike anybody. Everything's about being a social winner, and they want to know what's happening. How do people do it in society? They don't care about the theory. They don't care about the high dimensions of mentality like Aquarius does. They're more like, hey, what's on the street? Just like Barbara Walters. Typical example of a Libra woman whose mind is really inserted into finding out what the pulses of the public and of society. So they think about ideas, etc., mainly because it's the social way, like the Iacocca, like John Lennon was. These are all Libras with the pulse of the society. So they're social thinkers. The final one, well, the one I'm going to go skip over before I get there, is Virgo. Virgo is a mental sign, even though they're Earth, because they're all about making decisions. Virgos just can't stand indecision. You got to make your mind up. Virgo makes their mind up. They're very analytical. They make a judgment. They decide. They reason this. They reason this. Here's the answer. Boom. So they're a very decisive, analytical kind of mind, just like a robot. It's really true. So that's why they're included in this group. The final and the ultimate mental sign is definitely Aquarius, because these guys never stop thinking, or gals. If you interview one or you watch one, they're always doing one thing. They're building this big mental picture of how the whole world works into a great big mental puzzle. And they got every piece fitting in or throw it out. And they really don't care. They don't even look around. They decide what they think from their investigations. And they're really known as relying on their own mental research. That's why when you do a lot of research in astrology or other fields, you'll find Aquarians really near the top because they're just so mentally strong, just really powerful mentally. And their key is putting all the pieces together cohesively, and they really don't want to listen to anybody else. It's not a snob thing. It's just they're so self-contained. They just don't want to hear anybody else's thoughts. And that actually becomes a problem for them. I will guarantee you, you walk in any doctor's office, and the least, if you broke everybody down into sun sign and sex, the least folder you would come up with is the Aquarian men. Aquarian men will not go to the doctor. Their arms falling off. They might go. You can't get them to go to the doctor because they know everything. So it backfires on them. So Aquarians, sometimes in astrology, you need to go against your own nature. And sometimes, believe it or not, some people outside of this Aquarian is probably smarter than you. But that's one of the faults that they have. And they don't have very many. So the air signs are out there to educate us. Spread information, find new websites, find ways of getting information to people. Find this information and disperse it. Coming up with better school systems, sharing intellect. So they're all about the intellect. You see what we got so far? Fire, the actual life. Pat them on the back. Earth, down to work. Bring me a wagon. Fill it up with dirt. Let's get going. Nail that board up there. Air. Thoughts, ideas, teaching, exchanging. Internet, sites, magazines. The final element. Well, I'm going to finish there first. Where air signs can become bothersome, and they really probably the least bothersome of all four, is if they just keep bugging you with ideas and you really don't care what the idea is. I'm just trying to get this anthill built. Quit telling me about what slope it's supposed to have. I'm just giving me more mud. I'm trying to build this thing, and the air signs keep distracting you with the ideas and the intellect part of it, and you just don't want it. So sometimes the air signs can get on people's wires because they're so concerned with how you're thinking about it, and other signs don't care how they think about it. Earth signs don't care how they think about it. Water signs could care less what you think about, okay? So that's where they can become not welcome or overstay their welcome. Now, this is elemental. They're called the elements, but this is really critical to astrology, this basic understanding. The final one, of course, is water. And water, in a lot of ways, is probably our most important. Because water is love. Water is emotion. And we go to the water signs. We go to the water signs, the Pisces, the Cancers, the Scorpios. Okay, water is really, really critical. It really, really is. You see, they're in a triangle also. Okay. I'm going to take, let's see here. Okay. Water signs are critical because they're emotion. And if you don't have emotion, everything just dies. I don't care how slick you are. You can't water anything. The most common thing you will see with criminals, and I do a lot of criminal research. I would love to work someday with the FBI or something doing profiling. I think I could help. But with serial killers, etc., the most common thing you see with the repeat offenders is a lack of water or troubled water, or they can't get to the water in their chart, which means they weren't given love. Love didn't get through to them. They never grew up with love. They don't have any love. And when you don't have love, you commit crime. When you have love, I don't have to tell you the lecture about that. Everything works, okay? You get enthusiasm injected into the people around you. You show faith and belief into what you are doing. The Cancers are very much the essence of love within a family unit. We know how important that is. The Scorpios are really about the emotion that's exchanged within a relationship, especially very intense cauldron of feverish emotion and dedication. Pisces, the ultimate. I love everybody. I don't see anybody different. I just love them all. We're all the same. I just love them all. That's why when we made the chapter on the book on Pisces, I was real happy with that. The chapter title on that particular sign was, Isn't He Silly? Not isn't he an idiot? Or wasn't he got that messed up? Isn't he silly? That's what's so nice about Pisces. Pisces see when we err as making an error, not that we're sinners or we're bad or we're screwed up. Just see people that lost their way. Isn't he silly? It's really a very powerful message. So the beauty of water is really apparent. You need water to breathe, but when you have too much water, you got a mess. When you got too much water, everything's a big emotional scene. And it's an emotional scene, and you cry on everybody's shoulder, and you drag everybody down, and everybody's depressed. You put out all the fires all around because everybody's got to stop to take care of your water problem. And it ain't good. So you got 3 water problems. You got the good water, you got the bad water, and you got the too much water. Okay. So as you can tell already, it's really important to have a balance of all these things. Nobody's got a chart with equal amounts of all this. It just doesn't exist. But you want it relatively balanced. Okay. And when I get a person in my office who are being interviewed and they have trouble with their partner, I look to see what's the partner's ability to share their emotions. Then I come back to the original person and I say, what's this person's ability to share emotions? I just had a couple come to me for a couple reading. I told him before I did any mixture of the two, I was going to look, and she had quite an ability to be emotional, and she had a new baby, and she was opening up and unfolding and coming out. Heretofore, she'd been very stoic, and I was very pleased to see the baby had been the opening up of her heart. You could see it. Beautiful thing to see. I interviewed her husband. He's from a very Catholic family, very emotional. And when I started to put the charts together, I saw these two could make it. They have the ability to exchange emotion. Not too much, not codependency, but not too little. When you're married to somebody that can't get to their water tap, what do you think is going to happen to you? They can't get to their water tap. And you're going to be happy with 1 drop per week. Oh, that won't work. That won't work. You wouldn't believe how many couples stay 29 years, they can't get a drop. Wouldn't believe it. Oh, but the money's on the table and the bills are paid and everything. Kids are 2.0 kids, and people will stay and they'll starve themselves unbelievably. That's called severe codependency. So the good water stuff is being loving, but not drowning. The bad water stuff is being codependent or too mushy. You ever have anybody that lays across your lap like a big wet blanket? You know? Oh, and they tell you this big emotional scene that's all over you and you can't move. And you just want to get up and put a hair dryer back. So it's a beautiful thing, the zodiac. It's exquisite. And you really do want a perfect blend. So as we go forth from this mess we're in, and the mess we're in is really, I think, and I've talked a lot to Liza, she's the brains of the family. The mess we're in is too much capitalism, too much allowing of 2-3 people to have all the money and the rest of us starving. The government said, don't work because the systems are outdated. We got to start with firing all the local lawyers, right, John? I want to see if he was listening. No, John could tell us, give us a good lecture, I'm sure. But the whole point of, I don't think I'm weird. And I think that if I were president 30 years ago, one of the things I would have done is establish a committee to go decide 100 people to go through all South America and figure out what do these people need? What do we have that we could share with them or teach them that would help them? Roads, crops, healthcare, and they probably have something we could share with us. Kind of enlightening way to do it. I have a lot of Aquarius in me. That's an Aquarian thought system. But what do we do? How can we go down there and steal? How can we go down there and take from all these people and extract? Then they send all their property to us, and we have to close the door and build fences because we can't have them coming in. We got a mess, and it's not because of anything magical. It's because of greed. So, everybody's asking me, they really want me to say, I looked in the stars and we're going to have a problem for 2 years. And then it's, boy, rosy on the other side. I'm not saying that because that's not what I see. So we all know how to get it better. And one of the best ways we can get it better is by using our element. If we're fiery, get involved in something that we can add our fire to. Now, some people are Aries and Leos, and their main thrust might be water. It depends on the rest of their chart. Some people might be earth signs, and they're just terrible with a hammer and a board. They might be better as a consultant. So it depends on your chart. You can feel what you have. But basically, that's where our real power is. And I'm going to show you something that's interesting in case you haven't noticed this yet. It's really intriguing. What you end up in astrology is you got the 3 modes. Modes mean cardinal, fixed, mutable. There are 4 of each. To generate power, to concentrate power, or to disperse it. Okay? And that's the first letter in each group. Generator, 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 generator. Fixed signs, put things together. Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio. Mutable signs, giving out. Geminis, Virgos, Sag, Pisces. But what's so interesting is when you're done, 3 times 4 gives you 12 unique pairs. This is the main difference why the signs are different from each other. We have 12 unique pairs here. This is the main reason, and that's what the book is all about, is why are the signs different? How are they similar? How do they differ? Cardinal fire, fixed earth, mutable air, cardinal water, fixed fire, etc. around the circle. And you end up with 12 unique pairs. So you have fire being given out here, like, let's get things started. You have fire being fixed here with let's keep this fire going. You have fire being spread out like fireworks with Sagittarius. So when you go around the zodiac and you study that, and that's all detailed in the book, you see that we all have these really elemental things that we feel that we really can't change. So what I try to do when I'm looking at your map, I'm looking at your formula and I'm talking to you, I'm listening to you to see. I mean, I hear you talking about the kids and the cars and the job, and I hear you talking about that stuff. But what I'm listening for is, are you a healthy plant? Is your plant growing? Is it getting watered? Are new shoots coming up? That's what I'm listening for. And if they're not, I'm trying to find out, where's the issue here? Why is this part not getting watered? Why is this part never getting any sunshine? Does that make sense? So what I think I'll do with this is, I don't think any of the people here, 1 through 8, are here. So we're not going to do a chart on somebody. I'd like to, but number 1, you had your chance. Number 2, etc. But what we'll do instead, since they're not here, I want to open it up to your questions. And I would like your questions to be hovering around the subject of the elements: fire, earth, air, and water. As you understand them, as you have questions about them, just feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
I have a question.
Yeah, John.
Spirituality, what element are we talking about? Fire? Are we talking about water?
Spirituality is largely, when you're talking about major spirit, is usually Piscean and Neptunian. Neptune rules Pisces. Spirituality is a fire principle, but not the higher dimensions of spirituality. It's spirituality in terms of, I got the spirit to do this. I got the zest to do this. Don't cool me off, okay? I'm on fire. I can feel it. But in astrology, when you really look at deep spirituality, you can get some spirituality out of Pluto because Pluto is very deep. But mainly, when you're talking about the real thing, you're talking about Neptune and Pisces, and you have that in galore. Yours is really, really strong. So you have a lot of Gemini, of course, so a lot of air. You're a thinker, you're a researcher. But your interest, which is very strong in spiritual matters, is not coming from your Gemini. It's coming from your Neptune. And the reason Neptune is the planet that we focus on, Neptune is the planet that wants us to merge back with the oneness from which we came. Okay?
Thank you.
I would say, other than that, John, I think water is probably your next principle, because when you're inundated with so much love in you, it may not all be focused, and the hose might not be working correctly all the time. But when you're focused in water all the time, you really surround yourself with love. And if you surround yourself in love, you're going to end up in spirit land, because that's what spirit land is. It is love. Any other questions? Thank you, John.
No.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yes, Linda. Who was the other person? Oh, Christine, I'll be there in a second.
Okay.
Linda's up next.
I don't even really have a question, but I just think something happened to me today. It's a perfect example of what happens when air and earth work together. Because I'm doing time in our writer center, and our director is a Virgo, and she's a friend of mine, and she was my student, and she has an amazing work ethic, and she's extremely smart, but she gets there's always somebody in front of her with a new problem to solve. So she has way more work than she can really accomplish, which is very frustrating. So they've sort of sent me in there, and being a Libra, what I'm doing is saying to her, okay, you can you can have 60 hours a week to do all these other things. But in these 2 hours that I'm in here, we're going to do this thing that the bosses want you to do, because she has to be able to show all this other stuff. And until we get this structure together, the Libra part, where I'm saying, here's the idea and here's what we want to do. And all I do is sit here. She has all the ideas. She already knows all this stuff. I just sit there and say, I ask a question, that I type it down. I ask a question, I type it down. And it's amazing.
Okay, now, I would really recommend that your Virgo friend watch my 30-minute video on Virgos. I made a 90-minute video and I chopped it down to 30 minutes. And all she has to just put my name in YouTube, put the word Virgo next to it, and she'll see it. It's the most hit on video I've ever made, like 4,000 people or something.
Because they
But-
need it.
Well, it's about how to get out of the trap of being a perfectionist.
Oh my God, it's just like
Well, it's
ridiculous.
not just perfection, it's the feeling if something's broken, I gotta fix it.
Ah.
Well, that's just not true.
And every kid that walks in the room and knocks on her door is broken.
Okay, she is broken. She is broken because she's listening to Virgo too much. And many, many, many Virgo nurses and doctors have the same problem because you're just out of air. You can't breathe. I fix this, I fix this, I fix this, fix this. Okay, what's an honorable trait? But it's got to stop.
It's amazing. Well, I think
Hold on now. It's really got to stop because you got to ask yourself, a fixer fixes things. Why? Because they see that they're broken. Well, a lot of things they see that are broken appear to be broken, but they're not. And I told you the story of me and Liza laying on the blanket looking up in the tree in the summertime. And we're looking up in the tree and there's a dead branch hanging there. And I told her, well, honey, if I'm a Virgo, I got to climb that tree and get that branch out of there before I can relax. And if I'm a Pisces, I say to hell with it. I'm just lay here, relax. Well, the point is, if I get to go through the whole mess of getting all scraped up, going up the tree to get that branch out, as soon as I lay down, I'm going to see 9 other branches hanging there. It's just a myth. It's a myth. And that's why all of you have to find your myth and face it and say, no, I'm not going to listen to you all times. Because here's the answer you say to a Virgo. Marcia, you got to stay awake with me. You're making me fall asleep. Okay. This time of night, she goes on me. Okay, here's the myth. If I make 25 widgets today, I will be a lot better off if I make 26 widgets tomorrow. And that's BS. It's not true. Also, what else Virgo's perfectionism does? What does it say to God? God, you're always giving me stuff that's broken. It's a lack of respect. So what you got to do is what Mother Teresa did, who was a genius because she prayed so much. She had it in balance. Now, she worked all day. She sacrificed, she worked amongst the disease, etc. But she wasn't fanatical about it. She wanted to be productive, but you just can't say, if I work harder, things will be solved. Because the answer is not that. The only answer that there is in the zodiac, there's only one answer in the zodiac, is to surrender to what is until you blend with the allness. And when you get to the allness, there ain't nothing that needs fixed. You see?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, it's true. Have her read that book. It's
will.
really, really important because they're all the same. They're all hardworking and they're busting their butt. They don't want any credit. And the story goes on and on and on. Show her that video. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Christina, you're unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question was, you'd mentioned like with the serial killers, if they don't have any water in their chart, but then you also said if they can't get to the water, like what would be?
Well, for instance, a lot of them might have moon opposite Saturn, for example. Doesn't mean everybody, but that's a common one. Moon opposite Saturn means growing up for whatever reason, she couldn't get the love that her parents had, or they didn't have any for her. You wouldn't believe, but I would say, you may not like want to hear this, but I would say about 2/3 of everybody I read for, about 2/3, the parents were not available to the child. About 2/3. The child needed normal, oh, God, that's a nice little drawing. Good job. You smacked that baseball. They need normal little rub on the head. And a lot of kids don't get it. Then I ask, oh, what did you go do? Because you didn't get it. What did you do when you left the family? That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, that's why I do a brief little thing at first. Was your mom or dad, were they giving you basic TLC or not? I don't want details.
Right.
I don't want to go on a long story about your parents. It's about you. Did you get what you needed? And a whole lot of people not only didn't get it, but a whole lot of people should not be having children. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
That's just the truth.
Yeah.
So what's your question, Christina?
I was just curious what would make it hard for a person to access their water,
Well, like if your Venus is interrupted by something, your main input of water in your chart is your moon and your Venus. The moon's really important. So is Venus, because that's how you get emotion from others. The moon is how you get emotion from everything. So if your moon is troubled or your Venus is troubled, you can still end up getting water. You can still do it. But some signs are more difficult than others. Like if you got somebody born today with 7 planets in Aquarius, that person is not going to be real emotional, period. Yeah. Unless those planets end up in the 4th house, like born around midnight, then they'll be very emotional because planets placed in houses can give you water in addition also. Yeah. But your question can only be answered so much on this program because it takes a study of the whole chart. Okay. But I want to warn all of you, if you read some little thing in a book, say you have Venus square to Saturn, and you go to a book and you read about it, you type it in the internet, and it gives you the fear of God. Ooh, don't sweat it. And if it worries you, copy down what it says and bring it to me, because so much of it is just overblown. And like I've said before, the most successful people I've ever seen consistently are Sun square Saturn. It's almost a prerequisite. Sun square Saturn, and the books will tell you, oh no, it's not good, and it curbs your inventiveness, and you're not very creative, and all this stuff. Some woman told me when she read my chart, and I have Sun square Saturn, she said, oh, you're not creative at all. I said, well, 25 movies later, and 250 videos later, and 42 years of guitar, I think you're probably wrong. So these people mean well. And the problem with astrology when you're studying it first is they got to give you something. And that's why you want to read Arroyo. He's really good. He tells you in his handbook on astrology, Stephen Arroyo's handbook on astrology, when Venus combines with Saturn, it could be problematic, but it might not be. Okay, but these are the things to look for, but he kind of takes it easy. And Linda, that's the problem with Virgos. The problem with Virgos is they panic. Oh my God, the dishes are dirty. No. You got to start stage 1. Hey, the dishes need washed. Maybe I'll get to it later. But they really think, Marcia, you're going to put me out. I swear to God. Oh boy, Marcia, I got to start my show earlier. But anyhow, I think you all get the point. So what we're going to do next week, we're going to do all your solar returns, whoever shows up. A solar return is the chart of your birthday. And I'm telling you what, this is unbelievable, but they're really, really accurate. So when you are born, this is not the calendar. When you are born, if you were to draw a line, the moment you're born, we freeze the universe and we shoot an arrow right through the sun and it goes out and it hits a star way out there. When that sun comes back around, of course, the earth is turning. A year later, when that sun comes back to the same spot and it lines up with that star, we take a Polaroid on your birthday and we do a chart at that moment. And it's unbelievable how accurate it is. It will tell you what your next year is going to be like. Now, it's not going to tell you about the lottery. It's not going to tell you what shade of pants you're wearing, but it's going to show you the basic themes to your life for that next year. And it's unbelievable because this is all pre-known. I could take a child born today and print out their next 90 years. And it's a fact and it works and it's real. Now, there are flexibilities that can be done, but I'll tell you what, if you go back on your solar returns and you look at them, go backward, was that the way this year was? Yeah. Was that how that year was? Yeah. What's my one doing now? Etc. Now, if we don't get too many people, I can do it. I may not get to some people, but this kind of number I'm going to. I've got most of your charts. If I do not have your chart information, please email it to me at rick@starself.com. I need your birthday, month, day, year, time, city you're born in, and your name, of course. So anybody who I don't have, I think you're just a couple here. I don't. I will have your chart ready. We'll start doing the solar returns. They are very common when clients come back to me every year. They like to come on their birthday. Now, I'll tell you another trick that's really neat. I've had a couple people I start to read for, and I can't crack the nut. I just can't crack it. I can't get started. After all these years, I still have charts that are tough to do. You might not believe it. And sometimes I'll start with a return chart. See, I really can't get a sense of where you're coming from. And I'll just go to the return chart and say, well, this year you're focusing on this and that. And I get them talking. And the important thing in a reading is the discussion, the interplay. I see this symbol, then they say, oh, that makes sense. And the interplay between us. And then you start to see those symbols open up. Okay? We'll do that next week. Good luck with your vaccines. Hide from the virus. Good luck with, if you see anybody going by your house with a shotgun on the back of a pickup truck, do something like hide. I don't know. Do not watch too much politics. Over and out.
My cat enjoyed the show.
I'm glad she did.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks,
Everybody get some
Great
sleep.
Everybody
It's
get
so
some
late.
rest. I'll see
So
you
late
next
over
week.
there.
Take care,
Bye.
y'all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.